boys and girls. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I wanted to do a quick read aloud today. We finished Leprechaun in Late Winter last week, and we're not going to start a new chapter book this week because we have spring break next week, and I don't want to have a long week-long break in our reading. So what I'm going to do is just read different storybooks and picture books and stuff to you guys this week. The first one is one of the books from that Tri-C program that we were doing where somebody was coming in and we'd have a guest reader every week. And tomorrow we were due for our next guest reader, so I want to read you one of those books. And if you remember, they have all a growth mindset or a positive attitude message. So today's book that we're going to read is called Ricky, the Rock That Couldn't Roll. And it is written by Jay Maletsky and illustrated by Aaron Wozniak. So let's just go ahead and listen and enjoy. Over the lake and out past the bay was a green, grassy hill where the rocks came to play. They would race to the top to take in the view, then roll their way down the way rocks love to do. You're going to hear some rhyming in this book. It helps the story flow. There were Kip, Pip, and Chester, and Marvin the Boulder. Ignatius played too, though he was much older. And a group called the Pebbles never ever sat still, zigzagging their way up and over the hill. Kai was a meteorite and not from this planet, and Maya was lava, but taken for granite. Stu was the smart one, Parker the clown, and grumpy old Ebert rolled round with a frown. Gabby was sassy, Lessie had flair, Emma was giggly, and Hud had black hair. Then down here they're telling jokes. It says, how do you make a tissue dance? Seriously? You put a little boogie in it. But the one trait that seemed to be shared by them all was that every rock there was shaped like a ball, and because they were round, they could easily roll through the grass, past the lake, up and over the knoll. Except for poor Ricky, who quietly sat. You see, Rick couldn't roll because one side was flat. What part of this is supposed to be fun? That's what that guy's saying. His friends didn't get it. Come roll, they would chant. So Ricky tried, but replied, I'm sorry, I can't. But the rocks were determined. They were sure they could solve Ricky's flat-sided problem and help him revolve. So Marvin the Boulder, with his impressive physique, carried Rick all the way down the hill's grassy peak. Then he pushed him downhill, yelling, keep rolling, kid! But Rick didn't roll. He just kind of slid. And Rick's here saying, this feels like a bad idea. Well, the rocks weren't done, not by a mile. Surely this next try would get Rick to smile. They stuck rubber balls all over Rick, using big gobs of glue to get them to stick. They were proud of themselves. This will work, they announced. But Ricky still couldn't roll. Now he just sort of bounced. No good, no good, no good. Well, they pushed and they pulled, trying every which way to get Rick to roll, but by the end of the day, nothing had worked just like Rick expected, and he ended up feeling depressed and dejected. It's no use, Ricky sighed, there just isn't a way, so I'll sit off to the side and watch you all play. I wonder how he's feeling at that part. But his friends wouldn't quit. We're here for you, brother, and we'll get you to roll one way or another. So they pondered and thought, each straining his brain, till they looked up and saw it was starting to rain. And that's when it hit that smart stone named Stu. Eureka, he shouted, I know just what to do. He explained to them how they would get Rick to tumble. My plan is pure genius. Stu wasn't too humble. So they carried our hero down the road 'bout a mile to the lake where they gathered up mud they could pile on the flat side of the rock, creating a mound that they shaped smooth and sculpted until it was round. Then after the rain, with the sun in the sky, they left him till the mud was all dry. They gathered up vines and one colorful feather that they wrapped all round Rick to keep it together. Here's Rick with his mud on the bottom and his feather on the top. Does anyone have a towel? When the last knot was tied and the work was all done, the only step left was for Rick to have fun. They stood back and watched, feeling nervous and tense, as Rick breathed in deep with increasing suspense. He moved slowly at first, testing out this new mold, and then, for the first time, Ricky the Rock rolled. Look at his face. How's he feeling about this roll? So Bria, the ladybug who'd been there from the start, felt a surge of pure joy swell up in her heart. She thought as she watched her friends play on the hill that there's always a way if there's also a will. And she said to herself as Ricky rolled down the slope, when you're surrounded by love, you always have hope. And that was Ricky the Rock that couldn't roll. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you listened to those words at the end, that where there's a will, there's a way.